All right, I'm live. I'm doing a video right now. You know, our people, the video is entitled our people go around and they try to love everybody else. This is not me putting our people under the bus. This is just me talking about how slavery was embedded. Excuse me, slavery was embedded in our psychology, and we was brainwashed and conditioned into hating each other and loving the white man, loving the damn white man, and loving the other nations. I see it every day when I be walking in the store, in the parking lots and stuff like that. When people are like, I told this woman with this white dude, he was, I think he was with this devil. They were surprised I came out and said that. Yeah, I told him immediately. I was like, you with this devil? I said, they people are the reason why the black race is in the condition that they're in now. I said, those people are the devil that the Bible speaks of. And they are. And our dumb selves fall right in the trap with them. The so-called white man, nothing but a damn demon. That's what they are. They are the devil. And not only that, but our people, what makes me so mad is when our people, they fall. I see the black woman, they are very weak when it comes, they gullible. When it comes to white people, when it comes to white men, when it comes to a lot of our men of color is the same way. You say something about a white person, they be ready to kill you. They will beat you to death over a white woman. The black man will. They will. And if you talk about it, and those people are the very people that had their ancestors in slavery, hung them up from a tree. And we still to this day see signs of our people getting killed by these race soldiers. But our people, especially the black women, they definitely they're real gullible when it comes to a so-called white man. They very gullible, you know. They are. And then, you know, when I walk out in public, you right, I'm gonna be mad because, you know, black man is the biggest target. They're the biggest target. And I say to hell with white people. That's what I say. And I stick my middle finger in the camera and say, when they look at this video, yeah, I don't like them. I don't blame them, Israel, them Hebrew, them the camp that be on the streets talking about it. Because they're right. Because them Hebrew Israelites are my brother. I believe somewhere down the line they are. Don't come up here telling me nothing about a white person going, you supposed to love. When they say love your enemy, it's talking about the enemy of your own people. It's not talking about the devil that's shooting your people down. It's not talking about the so-called white man, nor the Chinese man. No, it's not talking about them other nations. Let me show y'all something. The Bible says in Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 12, it says, woe to him that buildeth up a town with blood and establish a city by iniquity. How did the Europeans get America? They killed off a lot of the natives of Indians. That's what they did. They killed, hold on, y'all. They killed off a lot of the natives of Indians. That's what they did. That's what they did. And our people just don't, they rebellious. Our people are very, 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 very rebellious. Our people are very, very rebellious. But when it comes to the so-called white man, they look at you like you the biggest problem. They do. And Dakar Henderson lost his life over a so-called white man. Wait a minute, let me see if I can go. Henderson, a graduate of University of Arizona, died in Greek resort town of a popular Serbian in British, according to the document obtained by the U.S. Today. Henderson became okay. Hold on, wait a minute. Let me look at it. Our people will believe, and especially our women of color. This is disturbing looking at this. Look how this Dakar Henderson is sitting up there with his arms around a white person's shoulder. With nothing but the straight enemy. Security video sheds light on Americans beaten to death in Greece by these people here. Dakar Henderson. There he is, that a black guy. Hugged up with his enemy. And our people believe that the so-called white man loves them. And then they'll sit up there and tell you, oh, it's not all white people. Get the heck out of here with that stuff. When you come up to me saying something like that, this is what you'll get, Uncle Tom. Come up here talking talking crazy to me. All white people ain't like that. As soon as you show it to them, they biblical history, then they got they nerve to sit up there and tell you that's your opinion when you actually showing it to them. Our people is so delusional, some of them, because it's been embedded in their psychology. Hate their own people and love the damn white man. Turn around and lick the white man's insides out. If he can tell. I believe if the white man telling me I need my eat the brain out of my skull, they'll take a chance and do it. Our people would kill you for a beast like this. This is a shame. American terrorist Bakar Henderson, 22, was reportedly beaten to death on the Greek island of Zakynthos due to an argument over a selfie. That was a picture, a photo, with one of the with one of the waitress. He was taking a selfie with one of the waitress, which reportedly argued. And according to the police, at least 10 people then followed Henderson out of the bar, including the buncher, and at least one brain employee. They beat Henderson badly and then left him unconscious in the streets. Greek police, that's white, quote unquote white. Look what it says. They beat Henderson badly and then left him unconscious in the street. Greek police, those are Greeks. That means the Greeks were the Romans. The Greek police said that Henderson died from severe head injuries. 8 people have since been arrested in relating to the beating death and charges with voluntarily manslaughter through an attorney for one of the accused claim. Okay, hold on. It kind of went in. Okay. Oh, excuse me. One of the accused claimed that there was no intent to kill Henderson. The Henderson family has expressed shock over the slaying, though they are reportedly now focusing on getting Henderson's body back to the United States. The United States Department is reportedly working with Greek authorities to do so. And a GoFundMe page has already raised over $45,000 to cover the cost of the funeral, as well as the transportation expenses. Okay. So the bottom line is, white people, the so-called white man, the Chinese man, the East Indian man, the Arab man, the Japanese and the Chinese, the Africans and the Palestinians and the Arabs, and all of those people do not care about the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American people. They do not love you like that. I'm going to show y'all in the Bible where it says this here. I'm going to show y'all. Ezekiel 35:1. Moreover, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir. Mount Seir is the Greeks, the Romans, or the so-called white people, and prophesy against it. The Lord said, prophesy against it. This is what I'm doing right now. And say unto it, Thus said the Lord God, Behold, O Mount Seir, I am against thee, and I will stretch out my hand against thee, and I will make thee most desolate. That means destroyed. And I will lay thy cities waste, and then verse 4 of Ezekiel chapter 35, verse 4. I will lay thy cities waste, and then shall be desolated, and thou shalt know that I am the Lord. Verse 5, because thou hast a perpetual hatred, and hast shedded the blood of the children of Israel. Y'all know what perpetual hatred means? A non-ending hatred, an everlasting hatred that's non-ending. That means the so-called white man and the East Indian man and all those nations outside of the Native American people, they hate our guts. They hate you. They hate your guts. When I say they hate your guts, we hear people use that word loosely. When I say they literally hate any part of you, they hate you. They hate us. That's what it says here. Because thou hast a perpetual hatred and hast shedded the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword. The sword today, the modern day sword today, is the gun that the so-called white man had. By the force of the sword, and the time of their calamity, and the time that their iniquity had an end. Therefore, as I live, said the Lord God, I will prepare thee unto blood. God said he is preparing Esau for blood, and blood shall pursue thee, and blood shall pursue thee, says, thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. If they hated blood, they wouldn't want to shed blood. So let's go to Genesis chapter 9. Our people is very rebellious because it was embedded in their psychology during slavery in 1610 when we went into slavery by the so-called white people, and we were sold to the African soldiers, to the so-called. Boy, Genesis got a lot of pages, man. Genesis chapter 9. And verses verse 6. Genesis chapter 9, verse 6. Whoso sheddeth man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed. For the image of God made he man. So we know that the Europeans shedded a lot of blood, so that the only way this country will be cleansed of the blood, which I will look it up. Let me go back and look it up. Y'all can see that the Carl Henderson, all of this is a fulfillment of prophecy. But you can't tell our people this though, because they want to continue to believe lies what their oppressors tell them. Every moving thing that liveth shall be meat for you, even as the green herb have I given you all things. But the flesh with the life thereof, which is the blood thereof, shall ye not eat. The Lord said, the Most High was telling Israel is to don't eat nothing with the blood. The so-called white man, they like their food red. Genesis 25 and 27, 28. I think it's 22. King James Bible. The land cannot be cleansed of the blood but by the shedding of their blood. Numbers chapter 35 and 33. Numbers 35. Let's go there. Numbers 35. Numbers is a long book too. Numbers 35 and 33. It says, so ye shall not pollute the land, whether ye are, for blood it defiles the land. and the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein, but by the blood of him that sheddeth it. Defile not therefore that the land which ye shall inhabit it, wherein I dwell. For I am the Lord, dwelleth amongst the children of Israel. Let's go to Leviticus 20, I think it's 27. Leviticus 25 and verses when the Bible talks about your brother, your Hebrew brother, when it say love your enemy, it's talking about your Hebrew brother. If thy brother that dwelleth by thee be waxen poor and be sold unto thee, that's talking about the Israelite, thou shalt not compel him to serve as a bondservant, but as an hired servant. That means don't use your own people and don't enslave your own people. He says, if thy brother that dwelleth by thee be waxen poor, be sold unto thee, thou shalt not compel him to serve as a bondservant, but as an hired servant, and as a sojourner. He shall be with thee, and unto the year of Jubilee. Okay, it's talking about thy Hebrew brother. Okay, let's go to and I'm gonna get back to the bloodshed. Exodus chapter 21. One. Now these are the judgment which thou shalt set before them. Who is them? The children of Israel. If thou buy an Hebrew servant, 6 years he shall serve thee, and in the seventh he shall go out free for nothing. If he come in by himself, he shall go out by himself. If he were married, then his wife shall go out with him. This is talking about treat your Hebrew brother. In the context, it's strictly and throughout the whole Bible is talking about Israel. And how did we get over here to America? First and foremost, and they killed it. Do y'all know that they killed a lot of the native Indians over here? Yes, they did. They killed a lot of the so-called Native American Indians. And when I say so-called American, that's not the real biblical identity of the children of Israel, of the so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native American. That's not part of our identity. They did. Let me show you how we got that. And we got stolen name, and every name that place that they conquered, every place where they went, raped, robbed, and murdered, and took, they named themselves after every place or every country that they stole. They named themselves after it and gave us their names and named our names after them. This is what they did. Let's think about who does most of the kidnapping and stuff. I tell you what, let me do this here. Who kidnapped people more than anybody? Always images of them. Look at that. So-called white people. They always doing it. But they want to sit up and put everything on us. What are the status of kidnapping? Kidnapping status. Every 40 seconds, a child goes missing. And we know that white folks does all this stuff. Because all I see is, you can't always see them, but It's images of white. It's images of them. From the disappointments of charity roles. Charity, hold on. Our people is something else because they've been brainwashed by a system that they think love them, and that's the so-called white man. Okay, I'll tell you, let's read this here. He that stilleth a man, that's Exodus chapter 21, verse 16. And he that stilleth a man, stilleth. How did we get to America? We were stolen, and we was bought over here on carnal slave ships. He that stilleth a man and selleth him, or if he be found in his hand, he shall surely be put to death. The so-called white man, all of the things that they did to us, it's going to come back upon them. How many Native American Indians did the Europeans kill? Okay. How much of the Native American population was killed? Their skin was dark, their language was foreign, and their worldviews and spiritual beliefs were beyond most white men's comprehension. That's okay. On a cold May day in 1758, a 10-year-old girl with red hair and freakless was caring for her neighbor's children in rare Western Pennsylvania. Darylyn Dwayne or Dware the where Indians kidnapped her and absorbed into their community for the next 6 years. She became the first of some 200 ongoing power struggling that included European powers, and American colonists. Indigenous people stared to maintain their population, their land, and the way of life, while many was ultimately returning to her with while family and some evidence points to her having a living happy with her adopted Indian tribes. Stories such as hers became cautionarily tall amongst white stalkers, stroking fear of savage Indians created I don't know what that is, PARANOIA, that escalated into all out Indian hate. From the time Europeans arrived on the American shores, okay, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna read, hold on. From the time Europeans on American shores. The front, the front, the frontler, the edge territory between white men civilization and untamed natural world became a shared space of vast clashing differences that led the U.S. government to authorize over 15,000 wars attacks and ruins on Indians, the most of any country in the world against its indigenous people by the close of the Indian Wars in the late 19th century. Fewer than 238,000 indigenous people remain in a sharp decline from the estimated 5 million to 15 million living in North America when Columbus arrived in 1492. Yep. The reason for this racial genocide was multi-layers. The settlers, most of whom had been buried from the inherited property in Europe, arrived on American shore hungry for Indian land. Europe arrived on American shore hungry for Indian land and the abundance of natural resources that came with it. Collection with the British during the American Revolution and the War of 1812 accelerated American history and suspension toward them. Even more fundamentally, indigenous people were just too different. Their skin was dark, their language was foreign, and their worldviews and spiritual beliefs were beyond most white men's comprehensions to settlers fearful that a loved one might become the next Mary Campbell. All this stroke racial hatred and makes it easy to point indigenous people as pagans, slaves who must be killed in the name of civilization and Christianity. Below some of the most aggressive acts below some of the most aggressive acts of genocide taken against indigenous Americans. And I'm going to show you this here. The one that's on the ground, it's like he got an axe up, hitting the woman in the head. And these are actually real pictures. In 1782, a group of Protestants in Ohio killed 96 Christianizing Indians, illustrated the growing contempt for native people. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna stop this here. I don't know how this came out. Hopefully it came out okay. Peace and love to my people of color, and I'm gonna see y'all in the next video. Peace.